Arise and shine. Welcome to Lumen Morning Diary with us, the Lumen team. Today, the first March of 2022. Of course, we're just coming from the second month, which was the month of love, and of course, which created a lot of memories for some of us. And not forgetting, we are looking at the importance of traditional ceremonies in Zambia, reflecting, of course, of what happened to Nchwala ceremony, and also looking forward to what people have to do to the upcoming ceremonies right here in Zambia. And I'm not alone in the studio. Of course, I'm Henry Mdenda, and I'm with my beautiful presenters, Alice and General. Good morning.
Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, Alice.
Good morning, General. I love the fact that you have mentioned to say we were in the month of love. Mm-hmm. Now, let me tell you, Henry, we've entered the month of women.
Yeah.
The month of celebrating women.
This is a women's month.
Yes.
Not only women, we are also celebrating the Youth Day that is on the 12th of March. That is also, we have to celebrate. Don't forget that we are both youths, and of course my two women in the sides.
But the most important day to us is the Women's Day, which falls on the 8th of March.
Mm-hmm. And as we always do on this show, we always give you what you always expect. Whenever you see us, you say, okay, the trends will always be there. And also the newspaper pick is part of this show. The food for the soul, as we always start the day in the morning, we must always remember to put God first in everything that we do. That will come up after as we unfold on this show. And looking at the topic of focus, we'll have a special guest who will give us the deep insights on the importance of traditional ceremonies in Zambia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. General, when you hear traditional ceremonies, what comes in your mind?
Traditional ceremonies. What comes in my mind?
Mm-hmm.
Nchwala and kulamba.
Like General said, aloko is like nkwambirira kwanu. Nkwambirira kwanu. Nchwala.
Twadishwa kona komboka ceremony.
There is sorry, my member is not that good, but I'll try to pronounce this. Ukusefia pangwina.
Yes.
Yeah. And also for me, I always remember about, not forgetting that Nchwala passed. I always have good memories about Nchwala. But one thing I know about traditional ceremonies, one thing I know about traditional ceremonies is that this is the only time when entrepreneurs get to boost to get boosted in terms of business wise. It is business as usual.
So Henry, we talked of kulamba. I talked of Nchwala. She also did the same. We mentioned the East Winds. What of you?
Do
you even have a ceremony that you do?
Don't mention Komboka, it's not yours.
So this is what we're saying. We're actually looking at the importance of traditional ceremonies. You know that certain traditional ceremonies that are not even known.
Yeah.
But
actually,
we have a lot. We have a lot.
We have 72 tribes.
Meaning
we should be even 72 traditional ceremonies.
I'm sure every tribe has their own traditional ceremony that they celebrate. Obviously, you should know yours. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Me look lost, but the guest actually will come and give us more insights. This is why it is important for us to know traditional ceremonies and also their importance, because many of the times people take traditional ceremonies just for leisure, once in a while things, but all in all, they bring about impact in the region. Yeah.
Yes, and not only that, it also attracts tourism, which is good. And you've said it also creates job opportunities for others, which is, and I think it's an ongoing thing that passes even to the next generation, because this is something that started way back and we still know it, which is very good. And I would recommend it goes on for the next generation. This is something that, okay, when I'm a Zambian, I'm proud. I'm there to say, okay, this is my culture. This is my tradition. this is what we do as the Ngonis, this is what we do as the Nzengas.
Yeah, so
In general,
looking at it, the fact that we have more than 20 traditional ceremonies in Zambia, I wish we could have keen interest in all the traditional ceremonies that
Yes.
come annually.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is that come every year. I wish we could have keen interest in them and know their culture, because these traditional ceremonies are the ones that actually give us an insight of every culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad and happy that they are televised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so that even if you don't make it that side,
Mm-hmm.
you can still watch and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to run away from our tradition.
You know,
And okay.
one, yeah, Alice.
Yes, the other benefit of it all is that, you know, it's embraced by everyone. Like, it's not just, we're talking about the Nchwala, we're talking about the Komboka, we've known these to be the Mtomboko, yes. These traditional ceremonies are not only practiced or maybe witnessed by the specific tribe, but everybody is embraced into it.
Yeah. In short, traditional ceremonies bond and unite people.
Yes.
Yeah. And also our viewers out there, you are also free to participate. Let us know how you feel about traditional ceremonies in Zambia, because this is something that people do not actually pay attention to. It is just life as usual. People take traditional ceremonies as something just for funny, of which it brings about positive impact, not only to the old generations, because we see most of the people that are being used, especially in these traditional ceremonies, people started using the young ones just to ensure that they grow with the same culture. Wherever you're watching us, you're watching Lumen TV Zambia, the Catholic TV station of the nation. We are called the light of the nation. You know, part of the things that we do look at the trends. You know, guys, the trends have actually made people get worried to say, what is it that we're supposed to hear next? Because, of course, most of the times whenever we talk about the trends on this show, death is part of the trends that usually hit every time people commit suicide, but not knowing what actually is in the paper today, as well as the trends. Alice and General.
Okay, starting with the Zambia Daily Mail newspaper. The headline, a president calls for political ceasefire. President Hakainde Hichilema says politicians need to be civil in their language and remain united even when they express political opinions.
I take you to the Mass newspaper. Don't behave like porcupines. They always want to be defensive. Alaba. Story continues on page 3.
Okay, the other story in the Daily Mail newspaper says 4 council accountants nabbed over 4.6 million theft. 4 accountants and 2 businessmen of Kapilimposhi district have been arrested over the theft of over 4.6 million at Kapilimposhi Town Council.
Back to the Mass newspaper. CDF failure is sabotage, says HH. Deliberate failure to utilize Constituency Development Fund, CDF, should be considered as an act of economic sabotage, says President Hakainde Hichilema. Story continues on page 3.
There's just this story and I'm trying to understand it.
Okay.
But it's a sad one though. Man dies while dancing. A man believed to be in his 50s has died after collapsing while dancing at his neighbor's house in Nimba district. Daniel Banda was dancing outside to music which was being played by his neighbor's children when he suddenly collapsed and died.
Wow. That gives a sad reading.
Yeah, that gives a very, very, very sad
Actually, maybe so. Resting in peace.
Cooperatives dead in Zambia. Dr. Musumali. The Socialist Party SP says the cooperative system in Zambia has collapsed and therefore failed to mitigate the high cost of living among citizens. This story also continues on page 3. Since page 3 has a lot. I take you to the sports in the mass newspaper. Keith calls for reforms to FAR's constitution. Story continues on page 7.
All right. I think on the stories that have just been read, let's talk about some few things that have actually been read and then analyze them. When you look at the issue of cooperatives in Zambia, it's something that people just talk about it. Do you know any cooperative that is functional and has an impact? And do you know any? Maybe it's just me that do not have an idea of what goes on out there. But one thing that I heard is that whenever you get CDF, you have to form cooperatives. And then the president also talked about CDF not being utilized accordingly. See? So what is happening?
Who's getting
these monies and how are they?
I remember we had this topic last year about CDF. Who's getting? Who are the beneficiaries of CDF? Is it that it's going in the wrong hands, or the people are managing Sogoro? I don't know.
All right. Our viewers, you're also part and parcel of this show. Our phone lines will be open very soon, so that you get to interact on. You pick on any of the stories that we've talked about on the trends. We've talked about CDF. We've talked about cooperatives not being functioning. We also there was also a story that trended about a man who died while he's dancing. These are the main stories that we had, but also we still have stories that trended on social media. Alice in general, pick it up.
We kind of have a lot of stories that are trending on social media, but the most touching and the most story that is actually making noise, it's the stories of floods that are all over. When you just turn to Facebook, TikTok, these stories are like making noise. We've heard of two that had actually drowned because of the floods, and we've seen videos circulating of women swimming in the dirty water. That kind of touched me a lot.
We've seen so many video clips, like Alice has stated, where I would see people's properties have been damaged, including vehicles. Some months back here on Lumen Morning Diary, would always call for prayers for rains. We really needed these rains, but it's so sad that I feel we're no longer having normal rainfall. Like cyclone, man. It's really sad to see that we're actually losing lives, because there's one story that I came across last week of a baby, not a child. I'll say a child because I'm not really sure about the age, of a child that went missing. It's alleged that the child was drowned due to the heavy rains, and the body was still missing. I didn't really check and see if they had managed to retrieve the body. And looking at the story that was on social media yesterday of the two teenagers that actually drowned, though we're having other reports of the cases, but I hope the ZP do a very good job in trying to find out what really happened to those teenagers. Then, look, since we're actually talking about traditional ceremonies, there's one story I came across yesterday saying Commonwealth Secretary General Patricia Scotland will tomorrow be installed as a village head woman under Chief Hamusonde.
Wow. This is something which is also important and interesting. Yeah.
There's okay. I just wanna talk about the story that I came across on Facebook of a 7-year-old girl from Katozi village in Nakonde who is nursing injuries after being burned by her biological mother for eating food that was meant for her sibling.
Mm-hmm. How cruel
Which
can
is unfortunate.
one be?
Very unfortunate.
You know, coming to think of it, these things are still happening. Like where over food, you burn your own. This is her biological daughter.
Mm.
You burn your child in order to discipline her.
So unfortunate.
So unfortunate indeed.
In as much as the economy might be bad, but it's just food.
Reaching to an extent.
It's just food.
Burning a 7-year-old girl.
So unfortunate.
And this brings me to this other trending story. I'm sure people will be like, but why is it Kambepo in a trending? Issue ya unga ye in a trending, I am your maps. Where people took back milimiu bantuendo kuzampa zampa maunga. Then he decided to buy 100 extra bags and invited people to go to his home to go and get bag of milimiu.
That was, you know, sometimes
when life throws lemons at you.
Anyway, I won't comment on this one. People might think that I'm taking it personal, but anyway, we should also look at the way we should handle issues, especially that we are a Christian nation and we are guided by morals. Not just too long yesterday, the president was addressing Parliament, where he actually talked about the Christian values to uphold morals as a Christian nation. Please, let us mind the way we handle issues. Even if you have money, even if you don't have money, let us mind the way we handle issues. We are getting back to Zambia. Let us remember that Zambia is a Christian nation. Let us uphold our Christian values and principles. Yes, General.
Finance Minister Stumbeko Msokotani says the recent World Bank report, which ranked Zambia as the 6th poorest country in the world, was referring to the poverty created by the PF. So, in case you missed this one, Zambia was ranked as the 6th poorest country.
Yes.
I missed that one.
Yes, 6th poorest country. All right, still in the trends note, we talked about the issues of floods, and Lumen TV Zambia took tour to see how people actually are suffered with the issues of floods, and we have a clip that you have to see. Let's look at it.
This place is a disaster. People are not that won't sleep in their house, they'll sleep outside. What will you do? Help us. Everything's going in rain, right? So government will have to help us now or tomorrow.
Mama makaunisi zomba kunani kungombe tavutika manzi ngoni so yangena manyumba ungama bangeti bose banana zomba ko mutandi zireko montaulu yapapa please kulanga nepo ngana ngoni tavutika inenipepa kwa government ona ni hapa banamanga offense kula roka bikose papai offense ya kwenye kaya kwenye na nyumba ona ngaka nemonera nyumba ya kwenye bose baonongeka so nipepa kwa government kuti bakapange kama drainage bapange kama drainage at least manzi angazipita ko kuno kubema drainage kudoko enda manzi abwerange na nyumba kubena vili bose so nipepa kwa government itanga kitandizeni kuona ni nyumba yanga ya kwenye ni bena koenda ni bena kogona na wana wangu.
In the University of Zambia area in Lusaka's Munali constituency along Great East Road, traffic has come to a standstill. The downpour has yet again exposed the bad road and poor drainage system in the capital city. Mr. Agaton Muvunga, a friend of Nali, says authorities should learn from the ongoing devastation and take long-term measures.
We're just Great East Road right now, opposite the Unza entrance. We've had a heavy downpour. There are some vehicles which have been submerged in water, and the road is totally impassable. It is as much as we needed the rain. The rain has caused a bit of havoc here, and this is an eye-opener for us that I think our government needs to seriously consider investing in a drainage, an effective
Right, that was the clip that Lumen TV covered in the different parts of Lusaka. Guys, have you just seen how people have suffered with the floods?
You know, it's really so unfortunate that we are seeing people's homes breaking down to these rains that we've been praying so much for.
And just, looking at it, that we have this time around, we have more areas that are affected by floods compared to the previous times we've experienced floods in our nation. There were just specific areas where we would see where there are floods. But this time around, it seems like there are a lot of places. There are a lot of places, and just the sad thing that we are also talking about, where the electricity has been cut in some parts because of due to the places being flooded. It's really sad. I think this should be the poor drainage systems that we have. We don't have proper drainage systems.
Right, and not too long ago, the president, when he came from Egypt just this week, he went direct in different areas where people were affected. He toured Kanyama, he went to Chilanga, he went to Mandev constituency, Kalundu area, where he said now the government who has to make a trick decision by breaking some of the homes, and this is not a court issue where some of the homes have to be broken. And then we have to see that this is the thing that people have to understand, that when maybe when your house has been broken, or maybe churches and the like, it's because you have built on the road, on the waterway, to create a way for the drainages. This is something that would have been done way back, but now that we are in this tragedy, and this is the stiff decision that the head of state made.
Okay.
Right, you're still watching Lumen Morning Diary. For now, we'll go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Are you around town and wondering about where you can get a nice meal? Well, look no further than Yamushe Restaurant. At Yamushe Restaurant, we serve nice meals ranging from shima with chicken, shima with T-bone, shima with fresh fish, shima with sausage and assorted vegetables. We also sell snacks and refreshments. We are located right in town along Cairo Road behind Zanaco Bank. For your weddings, kitchen parties, Chilanga Mulilo, and your birthday celebrations, we have a very nice place located in Road Park near Zesco main offices. Come and enjoy T-bone and soup yambuzi. For more information, you can call us on 0975 37 18 10 or 0977 67 13 94. Yamushe General Dealers, we care for you all.
blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no big kill my vibe. Them no big kill my vibe. No big kill them.
So wait, take a car, take a.
Mama.
Let's go perform. Let's go perform. Sakubula logo. Hey. So, okay. Silo Sakunta. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll come back.
Welcome back. As you can see, that video that we played, in case you missed Chwara ceremony, those were the people, the guests that the organizers of Chwara decided to invite. Maybe they looked at maybe something in common, the way the girls were dancing and the like, which was amazing. You know, it's something that you'd always want to watch again and again, but we've just played it once at Lumen TV. Remember that, as I said, we're looking at the importance of traditional ceremonies in Zambia. And in the studio today, we've been joined by Mr. Benson Musonda, the director of Bridgemark High Schools right here in Lusaka, Zambia. Mr. Musonda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mdenda.
Good morning, Mr. Musonda.
Good morning.
Yes.
All right, it is a pleasure having you on the show. Looking at the way you are dressed, you're just reminding me of the previous month. As I've said, this is the month that has left us with a lot of memories. Not only you, but as a nation, we are still reflecting from time to time. When you go on TikTok, these videos keep on trending. First of all, Mr. Musonda, are you wearing just this one, or you went for Chwara itself?
Well, I did go for Chwara.
All right. And how was the experience, first of all, before we get to ask more questions? How was your first experience when you arrived?
Well, being from the northern, visiting Chwara was my first time. The mood started here in Lusaka. We saw that people wearing these, chanting songs. I think the mood started in Lusaka. And when I got to travel last week, Thursday, it was one of those things that was very unforgettable. When I realized when I reached Chipata that the actual ceremony doesn't take place in the city, in the Chipata city, so it takes place in a village called Mutenguleni. And the mood was, it was amazing. Okay, so the ceremony was on Saturday, which is the last month of February. I saw a lot of people, from different walks of life. People from Eswatini, people from Malawi. Actually, I realized that the Angoni is in Malawi.
Oh,
yes, those were in attendance, and I think also the attire was amazing. The dances, the songs, everything was really, really beautiful. I'm looking forward to next year.
I must confess, we from the East have got a rich traditional ceremony, and I'm very proud of that. You've heard it, Henry, from Mr. Msonda.
I see. Even last time, I think I was the only one who was not in the same. What is it? The CC, the one that you put here? I never had it, but anyway. I think next time I've seen Mr. Msonda being a Bemba and you have this. I think I can also wear it. It's Zambia after all.
Yes, Mr. Msonda, we've heard mostly we hear of the Nchwala, the Komboka ceremonies. I don't know about these other. How many traditional ceremonies, or maybe do we have a lot of traditional ceremonies in Zambia?
Yes, we do. Zambia is blessed over 70 ethnic groups, and as such we have so many traditional ceremonies. The ones you've mentioned are just maybe the biggest, but we've got the Kumbinyamize, Umutomboko ceremony, Sefia Pangwena. We also have Ichibuela Mushi. There are so many actually. There are more than 50. Okay. It's just that others are done more like indoors, okay? And others are bigger. Others can, others just comprise of a village. Others are commercialized, like the Nchwala ceremony, the Komboka ceremony, or Kusefia Pangwena ceremony. So we've got a rich history, and a rich history, and these very, very important.
Yes, very important to the nation, because like you said, from your experiences of you traveling to the East, it's you've mentioned even the Ngonis coming from Malawi. It shows that indeed there is unity, and we are embracing one another's traditional ceremonies, which is a good thing as a nation of Zambia.
All right, our dear viewers, in case you've just joined us, we are looking at the importance of traditional ceremonies right here in Zambia, and our phone lines are open. You can call us and contribute, participate on how you feel these traditional ceremonies that we have in Zambia are actually important. So Mr. Msonda, when we look at the traditional ceremonies that we have in Zambia, what is the importance of observing these traditional ceremonies that we have in Zambia?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mdenda. Well, you should realize that we should, as a country, realize that from birth through marriage to death, life is punctuated by specific traditional ceremonies. So these ceremonies are extremely important for so many reasons. I think one of the things that I noticed in Nchwala is for the socio-economic development. I noticed that there are a lot of businesses, business marketeers from Lusaka. They traveled all the way to Eastern to sell their goods and services.
Wow.
So there are so many things that are sold, and also bigger companies, by the way. We talk about Wonderful Group, Zanaco. All those companies were given slots where they displayed their companies. That's one form of advertisement. So traditional ceremonies, they play a very critical role in our social and economic development. Number two, it's a way of preserving our culture. It's a way of preserving our culture, and I think during these ceremonies, information is passed from our elderly people to the younger generation, And we must realize that most of these heritage, it's not written down. It's passed from one generation to another through these ceremonies. Number 3, I think it helps. They help boost tourism in Zambia. What I saw was there were a lot of people, there were a lot of Indian people, white people, very busy with cameras. And I think whatever they were making documentaries, traditional ceremonies really attract, tourists to our country. Okay, I think those are the most critical ones. Number 3, I think, is the preservation of our heritage, the artifacts, the rituals, the songs. Some of these things, especially that I'm coming from the northern side, I couldn't have learned, I learned about the Ngoni and how, they traveled from South Africa, crossed the Zambezi River and settled in Eastern Province.
Having talked about the importance of traditional ceremonies in Zambia, the other question that I have, is there anything more than the government and many stakeholders and private sectors need to do in support of these ceremonies?
Yes, I feel it's the government's responsibility to, boost these ceremonies. Like I said, some of the ceremonies, we don't even hear about them so much on TV because they're small scale. Others like the Nchwala, Komboka, and Ukusefia Pangwena, these are really commercialized. So government and the other stakeholders, they have a very critical role to play in terms of support. For example, what I've noticed about the Nchwala is that when it's time of the year for the Nchwala, government steps in to provide, sponsorship, support. There are these dinners that are held to fundraise, resources for Nchwala. So definitely, we wish more companies come on board and support as many ceremonies as possible, even those that we don't normally hear of.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Msonda, for these points. But before you leave, do you think there is any traditional ceremonies that you're looking forward to go to apart from Nchwala? Looking at you being a Bemba and then you went for Nchwala, you spent so much. You went on Thursday, as you told us, Friday, Saturday you were there, maybe coming back on a Sunday. Are you looking forward for other traditional ceremonies that you can go and celebrate with them?
Definitely. I think the next one is Komboka.
Okay.
We are definitely going.
How I wish. Don't leave us. Don't leave us.
Hey, it's important. You don't only have to focus on the traditional ceremony that you're coming from. As Zambia, you have to explore. Know every traditional ceremony, like you said.
Yes.
It's important.
It's important.
It's very important.
All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Msonda, for coming through. Our dear viewers, you're still watching Lumen Morning Diary. And up next, we'll go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Are you around town and wondering about where you can get a nice meal? Well, look no further than Yamushe Restaurant. At Yamushe Restaurant, we serve nice meals ranging from shima with chicken, shima with T-bone, shima with fresh fish, shima with sausage and assorted vegetables. We also sell snacks and refreshments. We are located right in town along Cairo Road behind Zanaco Bank. For your weddings, kitchen parties, Chilanga Mulilo, and your birthday celebrations, we have a very nice place located in Road Park near Zesco main offices. Come and enjoy T-bone and soup yambuzi. For more information, you can call us on 0975 37 18 10 or 0977 67 13 94. Yamushe General Dealers, we care for you all.
Welcome back. You're still watching Lumen Diary, and right up now we'll be joined by Father Arthur to give us, to feed us with the food for the soul. Good morning, Father.
Good morning, Henry. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning, Father.
Thank you, and good morning to our viewers.
Welcome to the show, Father. And
thank you.
We are ready to be fed today.
I'm always happy to be here.
And we're excited to have you.
Yes.
Because we know it's time for us to be fed with the soul.
The spiritual food.
With the spiritual food.
Exactly. Yeah. So today I thought we could talk about the value of silence. And especially that we are about to start the period of Lent. I think you might know, if you are Catholic here, you might know that on Wednesday we have Ash Wednesday, which is the start of the period of Lent. And we know that during the period of Lent there's more of silence than noise, because it is a time of reflection, a time of contemplation, thinking about where we are coming from, and looking at where we are going and how we can mend our relationship with God, with one another, and so on and so forth. So I really thought today we could talk about the value of silence. I don't know why some people are afraid of silence. It's like for some, silence is some kind of emptiness. It's like some kind of blank space that needs to be filled in. Like silence cannot just be silence. If there is silence, there's something missing. You know, sometimes I laugh during Mass, especially in the parish setup. After communion, you know, before we start the whole the Thanksgiving song, just immediately after, there's that space after communion and before we start. when you tell the choir, that time is time for silence. Like, we have to be quiet. It is usually 3 minutes, or is it 2 minutes? There's that space. The choir doesn't want that space. When there's that silence, they begin to look for a song, so that they fill up that silence in order to connect to the Thanksgiving song. So immediately they finish singing the song that had filled in that blank space. They start the Thanksgiving song. Like, you emphasize, you talk about many times the value of silence, but it's like people don't really get it. There is an ancient philosopher by the name of Socrates who says that the unreflected life is not worth living. The unreflected life is not worth living. Like, you can't just go on living life noisily, if we can put it that way, without sitting down to reflect. There has to be time to sit down and think about how things are going. You can't just be going out, working and all that. There should be a moment to come back to yourself, to go into that little space of yours, to think about how things are going in your life. How is my relationship with God? How is my relationship with my brothers and sisters at home? How is my relationship with my family? What about workmates? What about the people that I meet at church? What about this? What about this? There has to be that time to sit and think. Now, since many do not want to deliberately create that time, you know what happens? They continue working until they begin to burn out, until they begin to feel stressed, until they begin to feel fatigued, because there's no time to reflect. You can't just be driving a vehicle. You know the vehicle theory. You can't just be driving the vehicle without thinking that this vehicle might need servicing, it might need to be refueled, it might need this and that. Because it will just break down. You get the point? It will just break down, and then before you know it, there will be so much to repair, and it will be very expensive. So there is always time to service that vehicle. You park it in that garage so that somebody, an expert, looks at it. Or if it is not that, the fuel runs out, you have to visit a filling station and refuel. So the same works with our system as human beings, with the spiritual life of a human being. That there has to be time for you to detach yourself from the activities of the world, so that you think about how things are going in your life. In Italian, they call it staccare la spina. You know, staccare la spina is the thing that thing you plug into the power source. Yeah, it could be a 2-pin plug or 3-pin plug. So staccare is to remove. Yes. So as a human being, you also need to detach yourself from that current, from that power current, so that you have time to be quiet, you have time to think about how things are going. When you take time to do that, the moment that you get back into the activities of the world again, you go back in with a different energy. You are revitalized, you are energized, you have a different way of looking at life, you have a different way of running your business, you have a different way of creating relationships, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of value in the silence that you create for yourself. Among the young people, when we talk about people not having time for silence, actually you see a lot of this in the young people. Many young people don't know that even silence exists. Yeah, all they want is just a noise environment. They can't even go to a restaurant where there is no music. They will just go to a place. They have to go to a place where there is music, where there is something playing. You take someone to a restaurant where there is no music. The first thing she says is,
You've actually reminded me of one of my family friends. She can never do a social gathering where there's no music.
Yeah.
She'll leave that place early and go to where there's music.
You see? That's exactly what we are talking about.
Not too long again, a friend of mine was saying the tendency of people drinking too much has escalated in Zambia because of load shedding. People wants to give excuses to say, when I go to the bar, I'm charging my phone. It's that noise that keeps them there. Yes, Father.
So you see, a lot of people are in love with noise. But everybody has to create, and this has to be deliberate. Create time to be silent. Just go to a place where there's no music, where there's nobody talking. Go to that place and be alone and think correctly. Otherwise, if you are always found in noisy places, your head will just be full of noise.
Quiet. Music.
Some people, even when they are studying, there should be something playing in the background. Yeah. Well, they will claim it helps me to study very well. Maybe it does, but I think they're just trying to fill up the space of silence. When they're at home, you know that they are home because there is noise in the house. But what we are saying here is there has to be time for one to stakarela spin, like you detach yourself from power, from the current, from the activity, so that you create time for yourself to think about how things are going in your life. Even Jesus was not just waking. The scriptures tell us that sometimes he could go to the mountain to pray. He leaves everybody else. He leaves the disciples. He goes alone to pray. And that is what we can do also. And when we get back again into the world and do all those activities, it's a completely different energy that we go back with.
Father, it has actually taken me to prayer. Many a times, yes, we do want to talk. We want to just talk to God most of the times, and we don't want to listen and maybe be silent and hear what God is actually saying. So most of the times, I think we live in a world where the voice of the word sometimes is too loud. We want to hear the voice of the word and we want to make noise, not really listening to God and be silent.
So, if you stretch it, you take it to prayer. Usually, many people want to understand prayer as time to talk. Yeah. Let me go and pray. So, what you have at the back of your mind is, let me go and talk to God. Let me go and say things to God. Many people don't want to think that prayer is also a time to go and sit and be quiet, so that you listen to God from within your heart. So you just go there in the prayer room and sit and start saying things. After you're done saying whatever you're saying, you leave. But prayer is also time to go there and sit. That's why in the Catholic Church we have time for adoration. We have time for meditation, especially when we do it during holy hour. It is deep, it is profound. That is time for you to go and sit so that God can talk to you. But we always want to go to God and say, God, listen, your servant is here to talk. Instead of saying, God, your servant is here to listen, talk. Yeah. So there's a lot of value in silence. It actually helps us to rearrange ourselves, to rearrange our lives, so that we get back into the activities of the world with different energy.
All right. Thank you so much, Father, for making it possible for us to learn that there is power in silence. General.
And I'm sure Henry will learn to be in quiet places to reflect.
It's good that you've pointed to me, Father. That was my word. Taking it. Alice.
No, I'm guilty.
I think I'm the only one that's not guilty here, Father. Thank you very much for your word.
Thank you so much, Father, for coming. That was Father Arthur who gave us food for the soul. There is power in silence. Many of the times people would want to talk to God, but not listening to what God is saying in that quiet moment. For now, we'll go on a short break. Join us on the other side with a sports segment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. We're now diving into the sports segment with Mr. Mafuta. Good morning, Mr. Mafuta.
Good morning, General.
It's good to see you after 2 weeks of not being around. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
And we're talking about the importance of traditional ceremonies. I'm glad you represented us at the Nchwara ceremony.
Actually, one of the reasons I missed the other one, you know, it's important sometimes to have a physical view of some of these traditions, interact with people, and learn more about it.
Yeah. I'm sure you actually teach us, and you give us the full information after this show.
Definitely.
The MTN Super League. What do we have this weekend?
Yeah, of course, the MTN Super League is getting intense. I'm sure the battle for the top 4 is really so tight, because we are seeing teams are so close, but maybe the only surprise would be Nkana. Everyone thought they had gotten the rhythm, but from the look of things, it seems they are not really what we expected. They started with a big bang after Chipepo.
And you remember, I had to burst here to say, this season I'm going with Nkana.
Yeah. So as we go into this week, today first match, of course, almost all teams are playing today, but 2 that will play tomorrow. The big game of the week, I think, is that of Cow Warriors versus Power Dynamos. This is at 15 hours at Redwood Stadium in Kabwe. Both teams are serious title contenders, and I'm sure it is a game to watch. Then Green Eagles takes on Nchanga at Independence Stadium. That is in Choma. Just a few kilometers away from where we have NAPSA hosting Indeni. I'm sure this is a game that our crew will be covering. We have Atletico Lusaka taking on Muza. This is at Nkoloma Stadium. At Imboila, we have Nkwazi take on Redalos. It's the titan of the teams, the men in uniform. That's Zambia Police versus Zambia Army. Then we have Zesco taking on Forest Rangers. This is at our main stadium, that is Levi Mwanawasa, 15 hours as well. Mutondo Stars takes on Zanaco at Arthur Davis Stadium. And tomorrow we only have 2 games general, which is the Kopala Derby. I think this is a big game also. Nkana taking on Mighty Mfrida Wanderers at Nkana Stadium. And the week wraps up with Rumwana taking on Green Buffalo.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, Zanaco has really disappointed us this season.
Yeah.
Whenever I was so shocked that they actually won last week.
Actually, it doesn't go with the theme of the bank, because if you look at the bank's theme, they talk about
being strong and reliable, but they're no longer reliable. And it's so sad to be a Zanaco fan and or a Chelsea fan together.
You have gone into Chelsea. Arsenal, talk of Arsenal.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk of Arsenal, because Arsenal has really been good but pathetic because they can't get any trophy.
No, Arsenal, anyway, let's leave it for another day.
Yeah. Mr. Mafuta.
Yeah.
The first general elections, there's been so much drama happening that side. Yeah. We saw the people that had submitted
appeals
there. Unfortunately, they are not eligible to stand for the elections. What's your take? What's really happening there?
I would call it the drama of the century in Zambian football. Because it's something that in the first place, when the first nominations were done, we had good 9 candidates that applied. Then we saw the returning officer representing the Electoral College of FAS giving an update that of all the 9, only the incumbent, Andrew Kamanga, was eligible. Then people waited for... Of course, it didn't augur well with the people from the word go. We heard other people even saying if we are not on the ballot, then there will be no football in Zambia. And later on, what we saw was a period of appeal was given to say those who are not satisfied have the right to appeal. But before the appeals were made, there was need for the submission of the reasons of disqualifications or ineligibility, what made those not. And what came so common was that of experience and that of not being nominated in a proper manner. Because there are regulations on how one has to be nominated.
Okay.
Because if we look at the FARS Constitution, that is Article 32 of the FARS Constitution, and precisely looking at sub-Article 2, the person, it's not a person actually who is supposed to nominate, because Article 32 of the FARS Constitution is very clearly, member clubs or member association shall tender a nomination of a would-be candidate. So it is the association actually, not a person. So for example, let's say Power Dynamos is a member association. So Power Dynamos as a club can nominate someone to stand for vice president. But Power Dynamos secretary is not a person who can nominate, because at that level he is standing as an individual. But it is a member association or a member club that does the nomination. So there was that misinterpretation, I think, by the Electoral College, because the people who submitted, of course, you need to send a member. So then they looked at who brought the submission and said that the people who nominated you cannot, unless it's a club, a chairperson, and the club secretary. Now, the club chairperson and secretary are not the ones nominating. They endorse, but the club, as an affiliate of FARS, is the one that does that. And that is what took us into those appeals you saw. And from those appeals, drama came out of it.
So much drama.
Yeah, 4 ended up being reinstated. That is Kashala. Then we have Mr. Hamfwiti. By the way, Mr. Hamfwiti is a former head teacher at Eucharist Secondary School.
Yeah.
Then we have Keith Mwemba, the proprietor of Muza FC. And of course, Emmanuel Mnaide, who was also at one point the vice president of FARS and a captain of the national team. So those are part of the people that ended up being given that mandate.
So, Mr. Mafuta, is there any fear of government interfering?
Yeah, at some point there was because after all this confusion, without mentioning names, we have seen this tendency of people learning to FIFA whenever people echo sentiment, say this is government interference. Now, what happened is that the Attorney General is the custodian of the law. Yeah. And his duty is to give guidance when people go off the law. So people took the FARS Constitution and called for interpretation from the office of the Attorney General. And when the Attorney General's office sat, it gave a direction, not interfering, but I would say a direction on what was to be done. One of them was to have a review of those nominations and go through the laws. And they gave guidance and interpretation of the Zambian law. Above all, they went further to guide, because the mandate of each executive falls off on the day you were elected. This current executive, its mandate was only going up to the 28th. So they gave that direction, say, as things stand by 28th, this executive falls off, and it cannot be the very one also to organize its own election. So as it stands now, we don't have a FARS executive. So for a month, it's like there will be a bit of vacuum. But the National Sports Council, in collaboration with the SG for FAS, will run the affairs and organize the elections up to March in Livingstone.
What do you make of the ministerial statement?
Yeah, of course, the ministerial statement was merely a follow-up to the Attorney General's instructions. And the minister was very categorical that as a government, because people wanted to hear what's the position of government.
Yeah, sure.
And he had to give a ministerial statement as per requirement. And the position of the government is that it's not only about football, but they also mentioned a number of associations, close to 67 affiliates to National Sports Council. And he has put it firm to say they will take keen interest in all associations that they abide by the Constitution.
And looking at the drama that was escalating on social media, it's like, you know, people would even be happy if one time they were given the opportunity to be the ones to vote for the president, the one, because people really love football.
Exactly.
It's like a baby to them. They really treasure it, and they really want it to go smooth.
Yeah, that is a serious issue. I know a lot of people, but unfortunately, it's just a few people that have the privilege to vote, because earlier on we were more than 200 people can vote. But the Electoral College has been streamlined to only 86 votes now. And those 86, it's the Super League teams we talked about, each one carry a vote. Then the Zambian National League, all these teams playing in the National League, they are 18, they also carry a vote, giving us 18, 36. Then we have 40 votes that are coming from each province has got 2 votes, because FAS has provincial executives and only 2 votes will come from each province. Then we have 4 votes that will come from the Women's Football League, only 4 votes, though they also have 18 teams, but only 4. Then we have a single vote for member associations. Referees Association, 1 vote. We have 1 vote from the Coaches Association. We have 1 vote from Fuso Football. We have 1 vote from the Youth Football Development. So in total, it takes you to 86 votes only to decide the fate of who should lead the Zambian football.
Yeah, so Mr. Mafuta, before we go, kindly give the information to our viewers. How many candidates do we have so far for the first presidential election?
Yeah, after the debates, it has gone to 5. There will be 5, which is the incumbent, Andrew Kamanga himself, from being unopposed, but now he has to hit the ground running. He has to campaign. Those things have changed.
Okay.
Then we have Mr. Hafwiti, whom I talked about. This is a man, he has been learning and the representative of school football in, I think, more than 20 years. Yeah. And he is also putting his name on the ballot. Then we have Emmanuel Mnaire, that's the former Zambian captain. He's also contesting. We also have, I think I was going in a more of a foreseeable big contenders, in my own opinion. Because these last 3, Andrew Kamanga, the incumbent, we have Adrian Kashar, who was his Secretary General. And this is a man that is a director of sports in the police service. He's in charge of sports countrywide for the whole police. And then we have a Keith member, of course, the owner of Muza FC. He's also a big name that will really bring this to the wire as we go to Livingstone. I know it's not an easy thing, but the way things are looking, I think it will be a very tight race. We might have a lot of people have talked about people coming together maybe for one goal for the sake of not splitting the vote. But there are moments when people have a decision. You can even have 20, others will be pretenders, but there will only be a few contenders.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mafuta. Well, thank you very much. We'll now take a short break. We'll be right back.
Copper Queens.
Even the interest of football cans.
So my children are Copper Queens.
She's my witness.
Yes, the interest of football cans, because we get to learn from new people.
How many players you know in Copper Queens?
I know Barbara.
I should know.
I know Barbara. I know Kunda.
Kunda what?
Kunda Nanji.
I think General knows it better. And to my surprise, that I don't know why. What kind of sports do you like playing?
I don't play any sport.
You don't play any sport?
No. I just love watching soccer.
Okay. I think sometime back I used to like swimming. But this time around it's raining so heavily, you might not know.
You know, we have different sports around, but my favorite is soccer. I don't know why. I have so much interest in soccer. Though I watch other sports, but soccer is top notch. Even if I'm in a bad mood, once I watch soccer, my mood changes. And especially if the teams that I want to lose. Chelsea loses.
There's just something about General.
Man City. Anyways, Messi might beat me up when I say Man City losing.
I won't mention where I watch this soccer from, but I watch from time to time. Whenever I find it, I support whoever is playing well at that particular time. That's just me. All right, we are coming to the end of the show, and see you next time, same place. From me, General, and Alice. It's bye bye.